Hello, my name is Pamela Oliveira and this is what is happening in Brazil. And here is this week's latest news.
The oil spill that hit Brazil's coastline in late August has spread to almost 650 areas in 116 cities, the Brazilian Environmental Agency IBAMA reported. The stains first hit the northeast of the country, but recent reports indicate that southeastern states such as Espírito Santo have also been impacted. Initially, federal police investigators believed that the oil could have come from a Greek-flagged tanker carrying crude oil from Venezuela to Singapore. But the Federal University of Alagoas has recently announced that another vessel could be the source of the leak. The areas hit by the black oil stains include nature sanctuaries like the Parnaíba Delta, a protected area in the state of Piauí. Environmental agencies and researchers have decried the Brazilian government for its slow response to fight the spill and stop the oil from hitting Brazilian beaches. The Black Awareness March is an event traditionally held by Brazil's Black movement. This year, it was the first time the march was held under a far-right government. The organizers point out that the Jair Bolsonaro administration has been implementing policies that promote black genocide. The movement held marches in several cities on November 20th, when Brazil celebrates Black Awareness Day. In São Paulo, the organizations read a manifesto exposing that the policies promoted by Bolsonaro and his cabinet ministers have been increasing inequality in the country and especially impacting black Brazilians, who are 54% of the country's population. Black Awareness Day has been an official date in Brazil for 16 years. It was first established in 2003 in honor of Zumbi, one of the great leaders in the resistance to slavery of Africans in Brazil. Every year for the past 16 years, black movement organizations have taken to the streets on this day to protest and demand rights.
Reports of religious intolerance have increased in Brazil since the election of Jair Bolsonaro. African-derived religions are the prime targets as attackers destroy temples and even assault practitioners. Those who practice these religions also suffer attacks from Brazilian institutions, as politicians connected to evangelical and neo-Pentecostal churches try to criminalize the many forms of expression of black people in Brazil. And this week's Culture Talk will show you the power of two practitioners of African-derived religions. They share their stories of resistance and talk about how discrimination and racism affect their lives.
Religious racism is real, and it has been around since we first came here, since black Africans were kidnapped. Ever since black people started to practice their faith, that faith became increasingly demonized throughout history. Just because it's a black religion, just because it represents the ancestry of black people.
Simplesmente por ser uma religião preta. Eu tenho duas meninas.
I have two daughters, a 19-year-old and a 60-year-old. I'm constantly thinking about protecting myself to protect them. I wonder if that could make me not wear the clothes I wear, so I don't get assaulted.
Não usar minhas vestes.
Black Awareness Month is a moment when everyone has to pause and reflect, and it's when some actions are taken. But I must say that they are few and far between. I believe that these actions shouldn't happen only during Black Awareness Month, but all year round. You can't separate being black from being a candomblé practitioner. It's all on one thing, and we resist all year round. But this month we gain more strength and visibility, and we have to take this opportunity to speak out, to take to the spaces and say, we exist, we want respect, and we are not backing down.
E assim vai consecutivamente.
Brazil still has high levels of illiteracy, as 11 million Brazilians can't read or write. The country is behind many neighboring countries in Latin America, including Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, and Paraguay. But it's also in Brazilian lands that one of the greatest educators in the world's history emerged, Paulo Freire. Born in the city of Recife in the northeastern state of Pernambuco, Freire passed away in 1997. But his groundbreaking methods continue to inspire educators around the planet. In Brazil, for example, an experience on the outskirts of São Paulo shows how popular educators have been using Freire's lessons to address the territories where they live and continue to teach Brazilians.
The legacy of philosopher and educator Paulo Freire is alive and still inspires communities and activists today, in a moment when Brazil is facing setbacks. That's the case of a group on the outskirts of São Paulo, where educators and cultural activists are coming together to discuss methods to apply Freire's philosophy in their territories.
There are joint efforts in Brazil and Latin America to bring back Paulo Freire as a very important educator, a point of reference for our practice regarding popular education. This is a moment when we also see Paulo Freire as an icon for the Brazilian left, for resistance against the atrocities that are happening and the things that we are going through.
One of the missions of this meeting is to bolster the work of educators and encourage the conversation between the different areas where they carry out their activities.
The first thing we have to think of is, how do people learn something new? People learn when they're able to bring their wisdom and their culture together with this new knowledge. And this new knowledge could come from science or from me talking to you. I can produce this new knowledge as long as I understand that what I don't know is in the territories, and the people from those territories have that knowledge. So it's about seeing school and the education environment not as an alien thing that just lands somewhere, but as something that is part of the culture and the knowledge from that place, and something that they nurture. That's what can make it possible to bring these different types of knowledge together.
The educators believe that struggling for education that is democratic and humanizing can be an antidote for the setbacks Brazil has been facing.
This political sense of education is a key aspect of Paulo Freire's theory. It's political in the sense of its objectives. Every school can set goals that are political in nature. What is the purpose of educating citizens? Is it to prepare them for the job market, to make them competitive, or is it to work on the educational process to develop a communal awareness and respect for human rights?
Now it's time for Brazilianism.
The first ingredient I'm using is the Baharat spice blend, which I will rub all over the pork loin. Then I will smear the pork with mayonnaise, followed by a rub of coarse salt. I will wrap the baking sheet with baking paper and roast it at 180 degrees Celsius for about 90 minutes. To make the sauce, I will need 100 milliliters of orange juice, 200 grams of mustard, 50 grams of ginger, 100 milliliters of honey, and green onions and parsley to taste. While our pork loin is roasting, let's make the sauce. I will take the orange juice and add mustard. I will peel and slice the ginger, add some honey, and stir it all together. Now let's prepare our farofa with cashew nuts and bananas. I will pour the clarified butter in the pan, add diced onions, the garlic paste, and smash the cashew nuts. Make sure to let the cashews toast a little bit until they are crunchy. Then you add the chopped bananas and finally green onions and parsley. After 90 minutes, take the pork loin out of the oven, pour the sauce over it, and prepare your dish with farofa.
Want to keep up with Brazil? Add our number to your contacts and send us a WhatsApp message with your name and country to receive the latest news from our country. That's it for now. We'll be back next week. Bye!